ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we will not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, its streets, its slums, as well as stars above. Salvation is here, where we laugh, where we cry, where we seek and love, where we live and die. When true liberty is found, by fear and by hate we will no more be bound. In love and in life we will find a new birth, in peace and freedom, and redeem the earth. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we will not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
I kept on, I was checking the participants list all the time, wondering if you'd make it. So we're really happy to be able to share with you this morning the continuing theme of flying together. It was great last week when we learned from Wendy's leading. It was really fascinating to me the way, talking about the hens and the way they spoke, and the fact that that a hen is actually training her chick while it's still in the egg to recognize her voice. That's a beautiful thing to me. Chris and I have been reading through the Bible together, and we're both learning. He's always confident that I have all the answers, and I don't. I always leave our sessions with at least a question or two to wonder about. So it's been lovely to be learning together. We've been doing this since last summer, actually, when we started. So
Yeah.
the passage this morning, right, Chris?
Mm.
So the passage this morning, when Chris and I were working on that, you know, the magic of the birds, and to me, birds are magic, the way they fly, the way they sing, they're so tiny. You can hear a bird, you could hold the bird in your hand, and yet that little bird can be heard like around the block. And yet when you think about when we're in the day spring and somebody goes up to speak, they have to have a microphone. Yet that little tiny bird can be heard everywhere. Such a miracle. This picture here, I took from a park near me. And actually there was another picture with it that I didn't manage to get sent. But if you can see, this little bird has, it looks like sort of, if you can see that kind of fluff around it, I mean, almost like a fancy little hat. But what it was the bird had the city had been by and mowed the lawn, and so there was sort of dried grass. And this bird went down to pick up some of the grass and then take it off to make a nest with it. They're very ingenious, and they're able to do all this stuff. But as Chris and I were talking about it, some of his questions though really kind of stopped me. Like, so the birds is one thing, but he said he really had a question about flowers. So the part about what clothes does a flower wear, and how in the world can that possibly be? Like what clothes does and who saw them in any way? It's funny because in our Bible study, we are just finishing up on Gideon, so in Judges. So we haven't gotten to David, let alone his son Solomon. Solomon, who was so wise and so well respected and very, very wealthy and revered by the people. So that's a story that the people that Jesus was speaking to when he was teaching that day in the Sermon on the Mount, that's a story and a person they would have known very well.
I think we read about Solomon in the past.
Oh, in the past, but just not in our study yet. We didn't get that far because we were starting in the beginning of the Old Testament. And so we didn't, Solomon comes up in a little bit. So we were.
But I know a whole about it.
Yes. So, but as Wendy mentioned last week, and it's so true, God picks really simple things because he knows that we need to be able to understand. And it's not just, his lessons are not just meant for people that are very smart and people that know the Bible really well. His lessons are meant for all of us. And so this is the beautiful thing to me about this story with the people that are gathered. And you can just imagine, even though it was a long time ago and nobody had heard of COVID yet, I'm sure they were still washing their hands, but not like we are.
Yeah.
Singing happy birthday, right? While we wash our hands.
Yeah.
But they would have still been doing the same kind of things like, how's my hair and what am I going to wear? And oh my gosh, I forgot to pack a lunch, and all the same things that we worry about today, they worried about. And Jesus, a teacher and a very patient teacher, was trying to help them understand that they didn't need to worry. Basically, that was the bottom line. Like, don't worry. Don't be anxious. In fact, I wonder if he, if he was humming under his breath, "Don't worry, be happy." I know that that's a favorite. That's a favorite song at Corner House. We used to. Yeah, Chris?
And I think I worry a lot.
You worry a lot. Chris, you're not alone. We all worry a lot. And we have different names for the worry. Sometimes it's that we are being prepared and we're making lists and we are getting around to everything we need to do. But worry is something that can keep us from being with each other. And it can also keep us from remembering and learning day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, trusting in God. Okay, let's go back to the bird for a second. Imagine a bird comes out of an egg, it's in a nest, and at some point, it either falls out of the nest or the mom kind of helps push it out of the nest. And then it starts to fly. Now, the thing is, it can never learn to fly unless it does, in a way, fall. But would you or I do that? Heavens no. And yet these birds do not worry. They're born, they get hatched from the egg. Their mother comes and feeds them, and eventually, maybe curiosity, who knows? Who knows? Whatever it is, eventually one day they start to fly. There's a picture coming later on, which not yet, but a bird that built a little nest in my neighbor's front porch, and the bird was starting to fly, but not that good at it yet, and it landed kind of on my front porch. So, but birds trust, you know, they flap their wings, and before you know it, they're flying. I don't know about you, but I would dearly love to fly. When I was, I went through a period of probably decades when I was, there's some birds up in birds that have found their homes up in the letters on a storefront, because they're very ingenious. You know, here's a little spot up out of the way. These are the kind of things that when I walk by them, I cannot walk by without kind of noticing and watching for the birds, because you can usually hear them before you see them.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I was, I used to be able to fly in my dreams sometimes, and I would love to be able to fly, but we can't fly, right? And yet a little bird, effortless, because designed by God and born that way, is able to fly. It's really just amazing and remarkable. In my backyard, I live in a neighborhood that is a very old neighborhood, and there are lots and lots and lots of not just trees, but very mature trees. So there are constantly birds chirping in our neighborhood. And so I have the pleasure of that in my backyard. And I was on a Zoom call with the house leaders and program leaders last week. And I know I was getting, people were commenting like, wow, are those birds coming from you? And so where normally I might mute during a call when I don't have something to say, I just kind of left it on, because Fran was saying between that and the breathing that Tanya was sharing with us, it was like, you know, it was like a form of meditation. So a couple of blocks over, there is a hedge, and it feels like almost year round is full of birds singing. And as I mentioned already, I'm always trying to find the birds, because to me, they're so sweet. I want to get up close and watch them. And so I wrote a note to this house, and I don't know the people, so I just sent it to their address. And here's the card that they sent me back. I sent it to the Singing Hedge at that address, and they sent me back a little card. It came about a month ago. Dear birdsong lover, that's me. Thank you for your very sweet handmade note. We too enjoy the choir in our hedge. It's amusing when the sparrows go quiet as we approach, only to pick up their conversation when we walk by. Life is good indeed, especially when you stop to smell the roses or hear the bird songs. Yours truly, the Singing Hedge. That to me was just such a great blessing to have contact with people that I, you know, probably never meet, but who also enjoy the birds. My husband is, for those of you that have met Rob, he's a real nature boy. He has spent a lot of time in the woods. He used to go hunting, and often the gun was more of a prop for him than a tool for, as my mom would have said, catching a moose or a deer. So he would often just go into the woods and sit and listen. So he has experienced many amazing things of which I'm really, really jealous. He's had birds land on his head. He's had birds land on his shoulder, even in our backyard. And I always I covet that. I wish that I could have an experience like that, but you know, I just don't have it. But but still, I enjoy so much the birds in the neighborhood, and this reminder where Jesus is telling the people, don't worry. Worry is not going to contribute to your day. It's not going to solve anything. And in fact, what it's going to do is get in your way, and it's going to keep you from hearing the things that are really important. So the really important lessons that Jesus was trying to teach them had to do, honestly, with kindness, generosity, and I would say probably patience, to be patient with each other and also to be patient with ourselves. And I think that he gives us birds in our neighborhoods and in our bushes and in our trees to remind us of that, to pay attention. My daughter is a singer, and I was asking her about this. I was wondering, is it possible to fly while you're worrying? I kind of guess that it's not. I kind of guess that if you're worrying, you might be biting on one set of fingernails and the other arm going, and you wouldn't be able to stay up in the air. But I wondered then about singing. So I asked her, when you're singing, is it possible for you to worry? Because she sings all the time. She could carry a tune before she could speak a sentence. And she said, Mom, I don't think it is possible. She said, sometimes a fleeting thought about a note that I'm producing or a tone. But she said, as far as worry, she said, no, it's absolutely not possible. So, singing more and being happy and choosing to, like birds, don't have to, we feed birds, and that's how my husband keeps our backyard full of them. But if you notice, birds I actually had a hilarious video that I didn't manage to get sent of some seagulls that are down near the Humber where I live. And somebody had tossed off the tail end of their Tim Hortons sandwich. And these seagulls came from all over to eat this Tim Hortons, the remainder of a sandwich. And at first, they're kind of walking around each other a little bit. And then before long, one starts to get a bit bolder and say, no, that's my Tim Hortons sandwich. And then another one walks around and tries to come up from behind and scoop in. Eventually, they all got a little piece of it and they got along. But that's not the natural way that birds are fed. And generally what they do is they find worms, they find bugs, and they don't have to look too hard because there's always something there for them to eat. So they don't worry. They're happy really all the time, and they're just going about their daily life. And there is so much, even in this, there's the little bird that landed on my front porch. And when I tried to go, because I'm always trying to rescue them, hoping that they might need my help. And by the time I found a little shoebox, he was gone. But so the lesson for us then is really Jesus' words to those people on that day. Don't worry, it's not going to help anything. Be happy. Chris, I know when you and I talk, we do talk about the things that we worry about, and sometimes that's helpful. But I'm also thinking about one of the guests of honor today, Helen. And I'm remembering when I first met Helen, when we were together in the craft studio, and then for a while I was supporting Greenhouse and cooking there and stuff. And Helen was one of the people that could make me very welcome there. And I remember she would have a lot of questions, and the questions could kind of build. And then something funny would occur to her, and she'd say, ha, 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 I'm just laughing about it now. And, that's the reminders that when we find ourselves worrying about something, just think about a bird or think about something funny that's happened, or reach out to a friend, or just ask God to take it away, to take that little worry or that thought away, and we can really be helped by that. I was thinking also about Marisha and about Helen and what friends they have become to me over the years. So Helen, I already shared that story. Helen is a coffee lover like me. And I remember the first coffee that we shared, and I was kind of anxious about it because I had given her a little bit of caffeinated coffee, and then instantly regretted it. A few hours went by, and it was time for, I guess we were sitting around lunch, and Helen says in a nice loud voice, she says, "Bonnie gave me coffee." And I was kind of like, but it was fine. Marisha, I came across a little note when I was preparing for this of her sharing her phone number with me in 2014. And that was a lovely time too. Thinking back to these two women remind me a little bit of the quality of those sparrows in my neighbor's hedge who come to you for friendship, but they're not friends that you can like jump up on and require friendship of them. And so I'm very grateful for them, and very grateful for Christopher and the time that we had to look at the story and share a few of the bird pictures and love of birds. And Chris, do you have any final words for everybody?
Me too, Bonnie.
Say that again, Chris.
I feel the same way.
Can you say that one more time? Because sometimes
I feel the same way.
feel the same way. Yes. So honestly, Chris and I haven't been able to see each other all this time, but our ability to stay together on he contacts me on Messenger every week, and for a while it was twice a week, and we go through the Bible together, and it's lovely. So the friendship continues to grow and bear fruit, and I'm grateful for that.
Because I miss you, Bonnie.
You miss me?
Yeah.
And I miss you too.
Well,
So
thank you
very
guys.
happy to be a part.
Thank you
Take my hand and hold on tight. We're in this together through wind and rain and sun. We walk these well-worn paths. The path may be rocky, but we'll go slowly. Please carry me with you. We'll dance in the rain and sing with laughter on this road. Take my hand and hold on tight. We're in this together through wind and rain and sun. We walk these well-worn paths. Stories shared round